Unfortunately, I cannot declare this the year of read-alouds for us, but thanks to Sonlight and some good audiobooks, we did get quite a few books under our belt this year. If you're new here, I'm Rian, a Christ-following wife and a homeschool mom to 3 boys. Here we talk all things homeschool, and we will learn together how to use our roles as wife, mom, teacher, and homemaker in order to glorify God. So I feel like I repeat myself every year that I just wish we would have gotten to more read-alouds. And it's not getting any easier the older that they're getting, because the more responsibilities they have, the more things they're involved in. And then we have little boys following along behind the big boys who aren't to that stage where they sit still really well yet. Or the baby who just, doesn't wait till it's convenient to be upset or need a diaper change. He just kind of always needs something. So I don't think we'll ever just get as much reading done as I want to. I'm just a little bit greedy when it comes to reading. But we did get some books in, and this is a collaboration hosted by my friend Katie over at Life in the Mundane. And she is one of my true, good, real life friends. We talk almost every day, and I'm going to meet her again. Someplace that's halfway between the two of us. We don't live too far apart, and we're going to get our families together this time. So it's going to be a blast. But she's hosting this collaboration where she got together a bunch of mamas, and we are sharing our best and worst read-alouds of the year. So everyone's kind of doing it their own way. I decided to do my top 5 best read-alouds and my bottom 5 read-alouds. Now again, not all of these did I actually read aloud. Some of them were audiobooks that we listened to. I had to kind of cheat on that a little bit just because of the season of life we're in right now. So I like to get bad news first. When someone says good news, bad news, which do you want first? I always take the bad news first. Maybe I'm weird that way, but I like to just get it out of the way and then be able to focus on whatever the good is, okay? So that's what I'm gonna do here today. The worst books. Some of these, keep in mind, some of them are according to me for various reasons. Some of them are according to my children, and a couple of them broke my heart. So we'll get to those in a minute. But the first one is a Sonlight book. This is The Door on the Wall by Marguerite D'Angeli. Now, the story of this, good. I liked the story, and it's actually a Newbery Medal winner. So, I mean, it's a good thing. So this is a little boy who gets sick and becomes lame. His parents are off. His mom's like tending to the queen, I think, and his dad is off in the crusades and whatever. And just the trials he overcomes, and he becomes kind of a hero in the end. It's a really good story. The thing I did not like about this as a read aloud, as just reading it, I would not have this book on this list. Reading it aloud with my own voice was awful. They had a lot of the dialogue as more of that medieval time speak. So, hark, all is still, the sentry is at the far end of his walk. Shall we go then? Aye, 'tis time. Hast the little harp safe? Like, I stumbled over my words like nobody's business. And I'm usually pretty good at doing voices and, bringing fun into our read-alouds, but this one I just felt like a bumbling fool most of the time. But the story is good. Just beware if you go to read aloud that you might get tongue-tied. The next one is one of those that broke my heart. I wish I would have read it to them. I think maybe my enjoyment of the story may have just kind of passed on to them had I actually read it aloud. But we actually did it as an audiobook. They listened to audiobooks before bed. And the rendition that they got was not great. So this is The Wind in the Willows. So this is the classic by Kenneth Grahame that I grew up with, and I'm sure a lot of you did, and I think it's a very endearing story, and my boys were like, meh, not our favorite. But then I came in a couple nights to tell them goodnight and heard it playing, and whoever the narrator was on this one, he took doing voices to a whole new level, and not necessarily in a good way. It was almost distracting how out there his voices were. So I think maybe that's why it was kind of hard for them to follow the story, because the voices were just so much. I went down there and I'm like, what is going on? It didn't even sound like someone telling a story. It was interesting. So I put that on our worst just because my boys were like, we did not like that book. I like that book. But I'm hoping it was maybe just the rendition that they listened to. This next one isn't really a novel or anything. It is another Sonlight book. It is a poem book. This is Cornstalks, a Bushel of Poems. I wanted to like this. I really did. So on the back it says, Reap quiet amusement and fresh perspectives in this collection of over 100 visual poems. Simple illustrations and quirky takes on the everyday world will make you stop, think, and smile. So there are a few of these that are really cheeky. Okay, this one I liked. It's about the bent old woman. Every day, the bent old woman shuffles down the sidewalk inch by inch. From in front, she has no face. See, because her head's all bent over. From behind, she has no head. All you see is her coat, her cane, and her courage. This one I loved. But out of all of this, there was only a handful like that I loved. Some of the other ones, I'm just like, okay. And my kids are like, we don't get it. I'm like, I don't really know that there's anything to get. They were just kind of, it's just a different style of poetry, very visual, like it said, but I don't know. Some were cute, some were, made you think, but a lot of them were just like, I don't know, maybe I'm too cynical. I didn't get it, and my kids didn't get it. So by and large, I think I could skip this one. Another one I'm going to say, this we didn't do as a read aloud because I refuse. But they did listen to some of the audiobooks, so I heard them playing, and they own one of these, and I'm just gonna say it. And they said, why are you putting this on the worst list? Because they love it. But I am hereby going to declare any of the Diary of a whatever Minecraft books as garbage. They're just, it's like fan fiction stuff, and I think they're just so hungry for anything with Minecraft on it that they pick up this garbage, and it's just like, I don't know, it's just not real stories. It's just, bleh. They're just very short, and there's just no meat to them. There's no story to them whatsoever. Maybe I just hate Minecraft so much that any book is not gonna make me happy. Then this last one is also going to break my heart. This was an A.A. Milne classic, The House at Pooh Corner. Again, we read the first Winnie the Pooh book aloud. They appreciated it. They liked it. This was a couple of years ago. They listened to The House at Pooh Corner on audio, and they were just like, this is boring. And I'm like, how dare you? I was not a huge Winnie the Pooh fan, but I still really it holds a special place in my heart. So maybe it's just their age, but it was a bomb for them. And I let them have some input on our list as well. It's not just my least favorites. So if you have some middle grade boys, like upper elementary boys, they may think that Winnie the Pooh is boring, but I don't think so. Okay, that's all for my worst. That was my top 5 worst of this year. Now I will give you my 5 best favorite read alouds of this school year. So the first one is also an audiobook through our Canon Plus app. And this is The Brave OLLIE Possum by Ethan Nicole. And this is about a boy who's afraid of the dark, and he actually gets turned into a possum, and his therapist, I think, turns into a monster or something. I'm only halfway listening to it because they're mostly listening to it themselves, but I'm catching bits and pieces of it. He just has to, find his bravery and, do some hard things before it's too late. And so it's full of adventure, obviously a little bit funny, but also full of some really good, just morals as far as, what is bravery and what does that look like. So they're really enjoying it. Another one that they did through an audiobook, which I kind of half listened to, but they loved it, was Pax. And I know this one's kind of popular. We just hadn't gotten around to it until this year. This is by Sarah Pennypacker. And this is kind of your typical animal story, like the animal and the human get separated, and it's a fox. They get separated, and, it's that whole, it just brought back Fox and the Hound vibes for me. If you watched Fox and the Hound growing up, you just can remember that, them pulling away from the fox. It's for the best, but it's so sad. And there was a lot of that in this. But anyway, the boy has to leave the fox, and they both kind of go on their own adventures, and then he has to make his way back to the fox. And it was really heartwarming, and my boys were invested, and they were like, that is the saddest book ever, but it was so good. One major hit with us through Sonlight was The Adventures of Sir Lancelot the Great. So this is a Knight's Tale series. So because this is a book in a series, we will definitely be checking out the other ones. This book was hilarious. It is a short read. So if you're just looking for something lighthearted and that won't take you a really long time, I highly recommend these. It was funny. I was laughing out loud the boys were laughing. Funny without being inappropriate, funny without being just over the top. And it's one that is really fun to do the voices for. There's like the swooning ladies who swoon over Sir Lancelot. And there's one that all she says is, "He's so handsome." And so it was really fun to get into character with that one, because my boys hate when I like being the only woman in the house, the only female in the house, including pets. It is really fun to tease them with, you know, Abel calls me singing The Little Mermaid. He calls that my marriage song, and I have to stop singing my married song all the time. And so this swooning lady, all she said was, "He's so handsome." And so I would get in this really annoying voice and do the, "He's so handsome." And they would laugh, but also like glare at me like, "You're ridiculous." But I've got to get it in, you know, somewhere. I've got to make fun of my situation. Another good one was actually our first read aloud of Sonlight for the year, which is Red Sails to Capri. This is a Newbery Honor book. This is by Anne Weil or Wheel. I don't know. But this is about discovering the Capri's Blue Grotto. And again, this had some really fun voices to do with it, and some really just like loud characters. And so the boys thought it was really fun to get into those. And there was a lot of, you know, kind of history in there too, but it was just an overall really good story that they enjoyed, and I did too. And the last one I'm going to share with you, we are listening to on audio in the car. So I'm not just listening in tidbits, I'm actually full on listening with them, because I didn't want them to listen to this without me, because I'd heard great things about it, and it is not disappointing. And that is Kate DiCamillo's The Miraculous Journey of Edward Tulane. And this story, we're almost done with it, and it is so good. Definitely a heartwarming type story with lots of underlying gospel themes in it, of just someone who is so, someone being the rabbit, Edward Tulane, who is so just caught up with himself and just so self-absorbed and proud and haughty, and just seeing how he is brought low, and how he is, through being brought low, he understands how to love. And just the transformation there is really good, and it's definitely going to be one to reread later. Like it's a good one. Maybe this has given you some ideas of books that you should try out, or some that you might want to avoid, depending on the ages and stages of your kids and kind of where you are in life. But if this video didn't give you any new ideas, then definitely check out the playlist down below. There's going to be a bunch of other mamas joining in, sharing their worst and best read alouds of the 2021-2022 school year. And definitely check out Katie's channel down below. I will link her in there. And let me know down below, what was your favorite book that you read aloud this school year? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.